Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming to another video. All right, so I figured I'd make a therapy session since I've been sitting on the phone with T-Mobile again for another 35 minutes. Yeah, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, why did they cut me off? I literally set up a plan, as I told you guys, that to kick the can down the road. Hate doing it because it ends up making you pay double. Well, I decided to kick the can down the road just to keep from having to deal with it again, because that's what it does. It makes you do that so you don't have to fork over whatever it is in the moment. And so at the time, I literally couldn't, just like it always is that. So I didn't. Man, so this shouldn't have been a problem. Today's the 11th we're coming into. It's midnight now. So that was the 10th. And the arrangement is for the 12th. So I should be fine tomorrow when the money needs to be extracted. But today, I should not have any issues with my phone. I should be online feeling great. Now, this thing has been shooting me texts for the last, I'd say, 3 days, telling me about some data usage issue. Now, I have unlimited data on my phone. I've had unlimited data on my plan the entire time because I did not want this problem. I remember latency issues that used to happen when they first started this crap with the, data. So I'm like, look, just give me the unlimited. I'll pay for that. I don't want no problems, and I don't think it's an issue for me. So that's what I did. I made sure I had unlimited. It's kept unlimited. It's been unlimited. That's one of the reasons why it's so dang expensive. But I keep getting these little texts telling me about data usage. Now, granted, during the process of all of this, all these months, they always do this. They always let you know what your data is, but they also tell you they're going to replenish it because you're unlimited. But this month, they've been telling me my data's been a little higher than usual. Now, mind you, I ain't been doing nothing different. Nothing at all. I'm using my phone the same way I always use it. I upload these same little videos on here. I go to my little fantasy basketball stuff and update my little fantasy basketball and football stuff here and there. That's it. No different than I always do. I had to have accumulated all of those teams, so that meant one of those months I used a lot more data to draft all them damn teams. But nevertheless, this is the month that they decide they want to hike me up and say that I've used 64 gigs of data. I'm like, okay, you're telling me I've used 64 gigs of data. I don't believe I've used 64 gigs of data. But nevertheless, I sit up here at 11 o'clock at night after a nice little night nap, wake up, look at my phone, and something told me, something said in my head, you don't need nothing in that idiot box. There's nothing in there you want right now. And I was like, yeah, nah, but let me see, whatever. Let me just look at my phone. I'm up. I want to see what time it is. So let me see what time it is, if nothing else. I grab the phone and it's lagging. I'm like, okay, so they cut me off again. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, I set that up for the 12th. I didn't forget. What's today? I looked at the date and said 10th. I'm like, all right, so something is off. But they've done this before. In fact, this is what happened last time. They shut me down a couple of days early, and it was a problem on their end. So it's like, all right, this is a duplicate situation. Fine. But then I go to the T-Mobile app and go through the same process I always do. I go through the app and see if it'll let me kick the can down the road, but the app wouldn't load up. And then I go to YouTube, and the YouTube won't load up. This is a T-Mobile expert calling me back. We'll get into that. But, so I'm like, all right, this is a little different. Maybe T-Mobile's service is down. But if their service is down, that would be a much greater problem than something that I wouldn't have already gotten enough. Something. If T-Mobile was completely down, I don't think the phone would behave the way that it did, because what it was doing was acting like it wanted to load up different apps. It was acting like it was having some data issues, but like completely shut down in regards to it. But there's a difference in the way that it behaves when they've shut you down versus something else. So I knew that this was that, and so proceeded to go on different apps trying to see if it would load up. Nothing ever did. YouTube had a video that actually loaded up, and then from there it would not further load. It was almost like one of those things where it showed me the commercial, and this idiot does not understand. I want to talk to him. And then from there, the commercial would proceed to start the video, and then the video wouldn't load. So I'm like, okay, that never happens, because if I was being shut down by them, YouTube would never even get off the ground. So I'm like, okay, let me call these guys and let them know that they got something going on their end. And so I call them up, and they proceed to let me know about this data law that's in my country that only allows us to go to 50 gigs of data, and then from there it becomes a fair usage situation that rekindles during the next cycle. But if you pay $10, we can kick you up to 64 or 65. and I just so happen to be at 64. Now my thing is, how in the hell can I pay you $10 and override a law in my own damn country? And I asked him, I was like, about this law, is this a new law? Did this just get started in January? Is this something that just kicked in? And then homie proceeded to give me a response that was like an automated system response. He was like, no, this is a law in your country that states. I'm like, bro, I get that, but is it new? He was like, nah, it's already been in there for a while. I'm like, so let me get this straight. I can pay you $10 and override that law though, right? He was like, well, no, because what it does is it gives you the option to have it speed up, so therefore it wouldn't actually be you using that. It would just be, okay, so all right. I was like, fine, so the $10 help my situation. Got it. Okay, show me where I've used 64 gigs of data. That's what I told him. I was like, all right, obviously I know what apps I have that use up the most data, and I know I haven't used those apps to any crazy outstanding amount. So can you show me what apps caused that data process to be hiked up that high? And then he proceeds to tell me to go to the app that wouldn't turn on, the T-Mobile app, and he'll show me where the data usage has been used. I'm like, all right, let me see. So I go to the app. It takes a couple seconds extra to load or whatever, and it eventually does load up, unlike when I was trying to do it earlier. All right, fine. He shows me what's on his screen. He shows me where they can show us where the app data has been used. All right, cool. I go clicking on all the little stuff. It shows me a number. That number says 64.9 gigs. And then it says, see where that data was used. Clicked on that little button that says where the data was used, and it shows us nada. No information on what apps caused that data. So I say to him, I'm like, okay. So essentially, you just told me to go to the app to see the cause of the data usage. And the only thing that this thing shows me is the data usage itself, not the cause, what you told me to come here to see. He was like, yes. I was like, so you see what I see? He was like, yes, that's what's on the screen. I'm like, okay, how do you know I've used 64 gigs of data? And more importantly, how do I know I've used 64 gigs of data? And why wouldn't I just simply think that's you telling me I've used 64 gigs of data to get $10 out of me for this particular month? Because that's what you just told me. He was like, I understand, sir. What you're saying makes a lot of sense, sir. I understand, sir. I was like, I get it. He was like, hold on, sir. Let me go get to my technical person and we'll talk to a technical person, see if we can work something out. Thank you, sir. And then he proceeds to put me on hold like they always do, but didn't put on the musical service. So I proceed to go into a tangent without him on the phone, essentially saying I'm gonna hit up the Better Business Bureau and let them know about all these tactics, and this is ridiculous. And it ain't the first time I've hit up the Better Business Bureau this week on a cell phone carrier, because I had to get boost earlier for the money that they refused to pay me. So it's like, this ain't gonna be an issue. I already know what I need to do to set up a bit before I even got the sentence out. Oh, sir, we're back. You know, I understand you don't know exactly what caused the data usage, but it is a law in your country, and we do appreciate you sitting on the phone, and we want to keep you on hold for another couple minutes while we try to figure out the issue. I'm like, you know what? That's fine. And he puts me on hold, and I proceed to keep my tangent going. I'm like, look, man, I have no problem taking this all the way to suing people if I have to. I'll sue you and the companies that you do business with to keep from doing business with you. Like, this is getting to a point where it's like, that's what Americans have to do to keep from having companies like this extort money from us. They shut us down every 3 days for stuff that really doesn't even make any sense. They add builds, increases at random, and do all these type of weird little things. They lie. Just completely lie about stuff that's legal, and then proceed to tell you can override that legality if you just pay $10 extra to them for a month. I'm like, look, these are things they do because they think people are too stupid to see that the stuff doesn't add up. I'm not one of those people, man. I'll never be that type of mind. I'm the type of person that's going to teach others not to allow that. That's who I am. So it's like, you running that game on me. You running on the wrong person. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn on my channel and let everybody know what it is I'm seeing in the exact way that I'm seeing it. And then the next thing I'm going to do is exactly what I said I was going to do. And so that's what's going to happen. If the phone will actually load up and allow me to get up on there and put a input on the Better Business Bureau and let them know what's going on, I will do that. You know what I mean? If not, I'll contact somebody else and have them do it for me, because they do allow me to text. But the point is, they're running game, man. This is yet another situation where T-Mobile, in a million different ways, as I've documented on this channel for the last 3 years, is doing weird stuff. Just completely weird stuff, man. T-Mobile is way out of hand. and their companies, the companies that they do business with, and the companies that they own they seem to be doing their bidding as well. You know what I'm saying? So whoever, whatever, y'all need to hear that. They out of hand. If you're doing business with them, if you one of them big time stars doing business with them, you need to know they doing wacky stuff, and you probably want to distance yourself from people. I kid you not. Matter of fact, I got a settlement from them that had nothing to do with me. Some class action settlement came in via electronic something. They told me that the money was coming like 3 months ago. It came this weekend. From something they did to somebody that they made sure that class action came to everybody they didn't screwed over in a certain time period. I just happened to fall in line. Gave me a couple bucks from them. And it's like they ain't learned nothing. Apparently they want another one. Fair usage data. And my thing is, America's in cahoots with this nonsense, because if there is a law like that, all it really does is parlay them opportunities to do this. All you doing is handshake dealing that. No surprise. No surprise at all. Been selling us down the river for generations. It's nothing new. But yeah, man, I just want to document it. You know, this is what it is, man. These are cell phone carrier issues in 2023. You know what I mean? This is it. It's just like the crypto situation right now. It's just completely corrupt because nobody's really focused in on it like they're supposed to. You know, I mean, it's ugly. And the people you expect to regulate it are just as crooked as the people doing what they're doing. You can't trust the regulators. No different. You can't trust them. So it's on us, the people, to use our voice, to bind together, to use our brains, to stop keeping these people rich. Stop patronizing them. Stop allowing them to psych us into believing we need what they have. And do this to someone else, and most importantly, develop our own. Everything they're doing, we can do. Everything they're doing. Nothing they can't do. From the banks to the carriers to whatever. Ain't nothing that the common person can't build themselves up from the ground up and do. Especially if we work together and patronize each other. Work your little mom and pop businesses, you know, support your local business. That's what you need to do. Stay as far away from these big whales as possible, because they are siphoning from us. They are siphoning from us, and they are investing in the way we think by way of everything they can possibly invest in suggestively. So I'm telling you, man, T-Mobile and the mind warped tactics that they're using on the common public, it's nothing short of demonic. And you know, a lot of people are too busy and too wrapped up in too many other things to really focus in on it. But I'm telling you, it ain't nothing short. It ain't just about getting money from somebody and providing a service. They're trying to control you, and they want to have you for a long time, and they want to be able to treat you however they want to treat you in that process. And some of these people in these countries, they don't treat their people very well. And you get a taste of that when you have to do business with them. That's exactly what I'm getting a taste of how they treat their people in other countries. Now, they don't allow them a whole lot of fairness and a lot of wiggle room to do right and have right treated toward them. No, you can see the taste of it right here, how they treat us through this. So it's, for me, it's just like, man, it's spiritual warfare. That's why I don't really worry too much about a lot of it. It's just like, you know, it's the same thing that's gonna get wiped away when it's time. You know, it's the same energy that's gonna get wiped away when the Lord is ready to wipe things away. You know, it's just, it becomes a point where you understand it reaches a point, and either it's meant to make you worse in adhering to it and feeling all frustrated about it, and having it turn you into some weird character like Fallen, if anyone's ever seen that movie. You know what I mean? Or you can turn it into production. You can turn it into a voice, like I've done here in that regard. And anytime they do anything, you document it. And you make sure everybody follows you, hears it. Man, and if your voice holds any credibility, then it'll reflect poorly on them. So that's how that has to go, man, because, that's the only way we're going to fight all this. Otherwise, they're just going to keep kicking this can down the road for our kids to pick up and be frustrated by, and their kids to pick up and be frustrated by. And the few elites will continue to be wealthy off these practices, thus making it work so that more will continue to do it. And you know what that builds up? More resentment, more frustration, more crime in response to it. And that, my friends, is ultimately what they're trying to stir up. They frustrate you from the inside out. They use various little things to frustrate you and just do a little bit of enough to turn enough of your people into fallen-like characters. And then you have a chaotic situation where people are voting wrong, funneling themselves into the prison system, and all different other things that trickle down from just simple stuff like this coming at you from 100 different directions. This I'm certain of. So that's why we talk the way we talk, because we know it ain't as simple as, oh, they're just frustrating us, they're trying to take our money. Nah, it's not just that simple, man. This is spiritual warfare in every way, shape, and form. And if you look at it, the parallels are layered. Whether you look at the top of the pyramid all the way to the bottom of where you buy your shoes at. It's always some type of weird functionality that patterns the same way. And that's why I speak the way I do, man, because I'm able to see those patterns, bro. And I get frustrated because a lot of people don't. But it is what it is, man. As I speak at this therapy session, I thank you guys for listening to me every day, run my mouth and all this different stuff. Obviously, a lot of my problems can be fixed by different things that I choose not to do. So I cause those issues and I hold accountability for a lot of that. But at the same time, I think that a lot of what it is that I do is because I see the world a certain way and I just refuse to play along. And I think in doing so, it holds purpose because it could teach people not only what it is that doesn't make sense in the way that I see it don't make sense, but also they can see that it's not necessary that you continue to do that thing and do in those ways to be productive, to find happiness, to find inner peace, or to even find money. You can do it without the presence of a lot of that nonsense. And I'm trying to go out about my life and prove it. And being on the outskirts of the nonsense will keep you in positions to not be all right, because that's what it's designed to do. But what I also understand is that when you do things the right way, regardless of how right's defined, you will get the right results. Simple as that, and history will be kind to you. This is what we've learned a million different times. When people stand alone against those who are doing wrong, what do they end up? The right ones. The ones that stood alone. They were the ones that ended up being history's own, and that's ultimately what it is. A lot of times history is written by the victor. Problem is, a lot of times the victor ends up winning because the other guy just didn't stay put. The victor ends up winning because good didn't believe good could prevail. He quit too early, and that is what we will not do. Simple as that. So that's where I'm at, man. The devil got a fight on his hands. It is what it is, man. And as far as myself, look, I tell everybody, I'm quick to tell myself that there's a lot of work to be done. You know, when we talk about fighting corruption and fighting all of this, you got to fight what prompts you to temptation too. If you're not fighting the corruption within yourself, you're not doing it right. The foundation of what it is that I'm trying to build starts with me being better. Being better not only as it pertains to what it is I won't stand for, but for what it is I won't stand for within myself. So as we continue to see the consequences of different mistakes already made, and find ourselves coerced into the process of seeing how people are doing certain things, I find myself privileged to have made the mistakes that I have, so that I have the experiences I do. And that's how I have to look at it, rather than to embrace a failure or to say, oh my God, this sucks, because everything around me is not necessarily the way I want it to be. You say, wow, look at all the experiences this gives me to be stronger, to be more humble, to be in the presence of certain things that others would crumble at. You know, I think about billionaires losing everything and then not being able to see themselves succeed in life and wanting to leave the earth. You know what I mean? It's like a mental space that shouldn't be taken lightly for nobody. I don't disrespect when I say that, but I also understand that, because of the current conditions I'm in, I can survive what it is they believe they cannot. Hell, I'm living in those spaces right now. There's strength to that, I suppose. When you consider how out of touch people are and how in touch they need to be in order to get things done, you know what I mean? There's some fruit to that. I'm watching a lot of different facets of life, and people are walking around trying to connect with people that they don't necessarily relate to because of this dynamic. There's not enough real in their life, and the moment anything remotely seems slightly dangerous, it's like the end of the world for them. That's to which we live in that what they would define as dangerous all day, every day. And it takes a lot more to make us quit. And we can gain a lot more, lose it all, and not want to jump off the roof. That is strength. If the name of the game is survival, we're winning. And so that's how you have to look at it when you're left at a disadvantage for whatever reason. And most importantly, it's the only way you're going to find yourself building anything worth having. Because as long as you believe you're a loser before you start, you will definitely not succeed. Regardless of what it is you're up against. I mean, this is why I have no problem speaking truth to power. Because in order for David and Goliath's story to have actually happened, David had to stand up to old dude. He had to do what he had to do. And there was many Davids who probably got squashed. You know what I mean? Many Davids got squashed. Many Davids didn't win that battle. But that particular David did, and that's why we know the story. So I will not be one of them dudes that cower. I'm not going to worry whether or not I got the odds of being squashed. Of course, the odds of being squashed. What the hell? But what are the odds of dying? 100%. So if the odds of being squashed are 80%, and the odds of just ultimately having the same fate anyway is 100%, then I'm going to take my 20% and see what good can come of it. And that's where I'm at with it. I will speak the truth to power. I speak truth to light. I speak truth to my own damn evil to make it go away. You understand what I'm saying? To make it go away. And if we lived in a society where it was safe to do so, a lot of people would be willing to repent and fix and teach and heal and help others heal in regards to things that they may have done themselves. And one of the reasons why I say I think I'm the great expert in telling people what I think should be done is because I've done things the wrong way, and I saw what happened directly doing it that way. You can see the results of doing things the wrong way, just like you see the results of doing things the right way. You know, it's what I was saying in basketball, going up against somebody much better than you or whatever. You're gonna get your butt whooped by somebody who can do all the things you can't do, and because of it, you are going to see an example of things that you now are aware can be done, because that stuff was done to you. Even if you can't duplicate it, you know it can be done because you had it done to you. And so that parallel stands at all times with everything. I try to keep my mind open to the idea of being better because I think this way, you know, because I have such disadvantages in my own head that keep me wanting to continue to naturally build holes for myself a lot of times. It's like I have to think that it's possible that I can overcome that. Otherwise, I would have been jumped off of a roof a long time ago. But because I'm still here, I'm able to keep believing that I'm doing it the right way, even though it's not giving me all the right results. I keep my mind on God. I keep, speaking on this type of stuff with this channel. I keep doing the art and all these different things that ultimately make me feel like I'm productive and progressing. And from within, it gets a little easier to do more difficult tasks. As I was telling you guys in a previous video, it gets easier to listen to that voice that tells me to do things that actually help, as opposed to a voice that I've been listening to all my life that tells me to adhere to things that didn't, for the sake of being comfortable. And I have to speak against that. You understand what I'm saying? That's the evil within for me, that I just am not going to be able to survive if I don't continue to fight it. Regardless of what the realities of my circumstances are, regardless of what is happening around me, if I don't beat that, I can stand still anywhere. You can put me anywhere in the world and I will stand still if I'm not beating that. And so it's like, for me, it's like I don't really accept just not facing demons or standing up to bullies or whatever. I don't harbor the fear for that because I have to do that every day. It's essentially what I'm telling you. I don't fear that. And because I had this relationship with God, and I've convinced myself that God is with me and he's doing all these different things in my eyesight, it just further drives me into a space that I would define as crazy in 2023. It allows me to step on the outskirts of what you guys would consider sane and still feel confident that I'm doing the right thing and then be progressive within it, productive within it. And where it leads, where it goes, I don't know. But what I will not do is act as if everything within myself is 100% perfect, and then from here get on here and start preaching to y'all like a lot of guys do, pointing out everybody else's faults and then pointing out the corruption in the world and pointing out everything, and then looking in the camera and saying, I got a halo on my head though, and everything's wrong with the world except for what's inside of myself. But that's not real, man. We're a reflection of the pain around us. We're a reflection of the evil that was instilled in the places we've been, given to the people that gave us our energy. My mother was a wonderful woman, but she come from a world where people treated people a certain way. People did certain stuff that she taught me came from a reflection of how to survive in that world. You see what I'm saying? How to survive in that world. It's what she knew how to do. Just like we're teaching our kids how to survive in this world. And what I'm telling you, I'm trying to teach the world is how to suggest a better one. Now that we have phones in our hands that'll give us voices, we want to show people what's in a plate. You want to show people what's going on around you, your environment. You want to show people what you've done. I'm trying to show people that I see a better way. Like literally a better way, man. I see a middleman in the way trying to keep us from going toward that better way. You know, and that's what I'm about. I guess I've grown too old to care about some of the other stuff, man. I'm not gonna sit up here and shun anybody who wants to kind of be a little distant from that type of stuff, especially if you're a young person. Because when I was 25, I wasn't thinking like this. There's a time and place for everything, and you got to work your progressions, which is also very important wisdom. Trying to rush people into being more mature than they are and stuff like that, trying to rush people into progress, it can get a little difficult, because if it isn't organically inspired, it won't stick. If it isn't organically inspired, that foundation isn't strong. This is what I was talking about in my therapy session earlier in regards to working out. Same thing, parallels, right? And if you don't want to do it for yourself, if you don't want to do it for a higher power, then chances are, if you're doing it for someone else, as soon as whatever you feel for them wanes, so will your inspiration for what you're doing. You know, if you're doing it for some benchmark of money or something like that, as soon as you get that check, the inspiration for what you were doing does not stick. You know what I mean? If you're doing it for your own reasons, though, you're doing it for health, you're doing it for God, you best believe you're going to do everything every time. You're never going to lose that consistency, because it's bigger than you, or it's for you. You know what I mean? Whatever your thing is. But I find within my walk, I can't do it for me. Selfishness is a sin in my world, so I got to do it for something greater than me. But maybe that's not how it works in yours. Whatever works, but definitely don't try to do it for me. Don't sit up here and say, oh, BDF 44 said. And then you hear me talk about your favorite basketball team in a negative light, and suddenly that inspiration's gone. You know what I mean? Don't do it for me. Don't do it because I said it. Do it because you love yourself and you're learning how to love yourself. And that's another thing. It's like learning how to love yourself. That's not something you inherently have most of the time, not in the world we're in. They teach you how to hate yourself, not how to love yourself. They teach you how to bring the wrong energy, not how to bring the right. Not if you're paying attention to most of the stuff that's out there. So it's like we got to learn how to. We got to start doing things that we see in the mirror as respectable things. And that's hard. That's real hard. And they're teaching us how to do that. Then they're teaching us how to look at those things the opposite way. And then you be in the mirror confused. Like, I see hate in my own eyes. Everybody mad at me, but I'm proud. It's like that's what they want you to feel. That's exactly what the world has coerced you to think. Because if they can keep you in that mindset and you're confused and proud, loud and wrong, you feel me? Those things go hand in hand. They love that. They can manipulate that. They can scold that. They can torture that and be justified in doing so. It's what you'll deserve. And it's what they know. So we got to redirect our energy so that we deserve better, so that we can disarm them. They. The evil in the middle, in between, you know, it is evil. Yeah, I speak of it as a human being, but it ain't as simple as a human being. You know, it's not that simple, and it doesn't equate that way when you're looking at various things. It's just not. It's a mindset. It's an energy. It's the art of destruction, literally, in a very, very energetic form. And we often play into it, or work with it, or cower to it, or whatever form or fashion, and it ends up defeating us, and it ends up putting us in positions to be disappointed with our lives, and it's just unnecessary. If you have a voice like mine, and you can help others coerce yourselves away from it. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm always try to do that. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. So that's what it is, man. Love yourself. Learn to love yourself. For me, it's loving a higher power. It's overcoming certain demons, disciplining myself against certain things that I do not respect within myself, and seeing the fruit of, not the fruit, seeing the results of that and being proud of it. That can help you love yourself. Doing the difficult thing that you long waiting or avoiding, or whatever that may be in your world, whatever that look like. If that's that thing that you should be doing, if it's gonna make you proud of yourself in the mirror, it's probably worth doing for the sake of trying to set that foundation from which to build. Can't get past it unless you do this or get that or have that conversation or whatever. I don't know. For a lot of people, sometimes those things will be the deterrent, though. It's no book to this. Sometimes it'll be like, okay, I'm gonna go address this problem. Addressing that problem might be your end. See, that's why having God is so important, because he'll guide you toward what makes sense, what is actually supposed to add up in your life. That's why God is so important, man, because of those variables. Those variables. Every human's gonna run into those variables where it's gonna look like you should go down that path, but if you have some understanding of what your life is supposed to be about and what'll keep your life preserved and what's keeping you going, that higher power, then he's going to tell you, no, that path is going to lead you to a wall. You're going to be stuck after that. He don't want you going on that path because you got other things that he would love for you to be able to experience, but you're not connected to him, so he can't really tell you that ain't the path. Good luck, though. You know, it's one of those situations, but that's what came to me one night. And I'm sorry I never said this in meditation, but that's exactly what came to me when I was sitting up saying, Lord, what do I do if I get to a point in my life where I just stop believing in God? What am I looking at? What am I looking at? If for some reason I find there's no God, what am I looking at? And you know what came to me? My hands started going like this, rolling the dice. That's exactly what my hands started doing. I'm like, Lord, what happens if my faith is gone? If I just get so angry with you, if you take something from me I just can't live without, now I gotta be your enemy. What is life like for people who have that in their lives? It's a crapshoot, fam. They don't know what the hell they're running into. They're either going down the right path or the wrong path. Let's see, 50-50. You know what I mean? They don't know. They do their math, but they can't tell the future. They don't know what's coming out around the corner. They don't know what the butterfly effect is. They don't know. They don't have no guidance. There's nothing to keep them from running into a wall that'll have them stuck in unimaginable stuff. And that is what I know. I already knew that before I even prayed that. But it was one of them situations was like I just needed to be confirmed to that. I needed that confirmation. Because the scariest thing in the world is people knowing exactly what they're getting into when they do wrong. Not being able to fathom the colorful torture and the prolonging of that torture. See, that's what I've been given in my head with this crazy mind of mine, is the extreme nature of a creative torture, which means I ain't gonna go down certain paths because I know it can get a lot worse than what y'all think. A lot worse. See what I'm saying? It's like you don't, when you have an anxiety type mind like mine, you're anxious, it ain't like that for no reason. You wouldn't believe some of the stuff I can go. It keeps me thinking the way I do. But because I can think that way, I can fathom certain horrors that you don't want to, which will keep you from going down that path, which will keep you from playing with your energy, which will keep you from being immoral in certain ways because you think you surmise what hell actually is. No, you don't. You really, really don't. No. It gets a lot worse than that. Whatever it is in your mind, a lot worse. For a long time. And that's why I'm like, look, I'm thankful that the Lord has allowed me to see that and feel that and believe that, so it keeps me just good enough of a human being independently of what everybody else is doing, no matter what. Because that type of torture, you can't strong your way out of that. You ain't brave enough to get through that. That will break you and then keep you broke. And I ain't talking about no money either. And so when we speak that way, it's like, look, that's why I'm trying to tell people to improve their energy. Improve your energy, because there's a lot of people who are rolling the dice. They're rolling the dice. They don't even know the questions to ask in regards to what it is they're running into with that life of theirs. They don't even know. Not to say that I do. I don't. But if they had the stuff in their head that's rolling around in mine, they would never walk down those roads. They would never have a moment in their life where they're not wondering if they should at least ask a God if something's right for them to do. At least wonder if you should be asking one. You feel me? That type of thing. Because otherwise it's a crapshoot, bro. And I don't care how smart you are, how brave you are, how big and strong and talented and swift and cunning and all these different attributes you may be able to harbor. You could have the best belt of all the best attributes, and you will still not know what's coming your way, or whether or not you can withstand it, and whether or not your mind is imaginative, has an imagination to give you a good understanding of what the possibilities are or not. It doesn't matter, because once they come, you either dealing with them or you dealing with them. You understand what I mean? Too late. Some mistakes can't be made once, and that's where God comes in, man. That intuition, that inner voice that comes to you when you know right from wrong, when you've been doing the right things the whole time, when you've been praying the right prayers the whole time, when you never were away from what you know was right, when you were never away from what you know was right. When it's time for you to face certain things, you'll be able to. But if you've been doing the wrong things, you've been all kinds of out of control all the way up into that traumatic moment, believe you me, it's gonna crack you. You're gonna crack. You're gonna crack, and that's what people don't understand, man. Nobody really thinks of this a lot of times. I haven't heard this many times, but it's what you're doing around them situations that ultimately determine how you handle those situations. Will ultimately determine the fate that you face, or the luck you may be getting when certain things happen. I'm telling you. A lot of times people be dabbling in the wrong energy all life long, and then boom, that moment happens, and they are done. And then you got people who are engaging in the right energy all life long, and that moment happens, and they are strong. I'm telling you, it's not perfect science. I ain't gonna sit up here and say I know that to be the perfect science, but I'm telling you, give yourself a hell of a lot of better chance if your mind is right when certain things occur. It's not about whether or not it's a perfect science. It's about whether or not you're going to have your mind right, your spirit right, if you're going to be in a place of peace when that moment comes, regardless of what it is I'm talking about. That's the point. Independent of my experience, it's about yours. And that's what I try to coach people in understanding, man, and everything I talk about. I don't care how small or how important it is. It's going to boil down to us having our energy right. If you believe in God, if you allow yourself to submit to such a thing, being true to it and understanding it comes with something, you're going to be fought against because of that belief. You're going to have things telling you, people telling you, propaganda telling you that your belief is ridiculous. And that everything about that belief should be ignored, and that you should go towards what is fun. And if you're following me, you know we ain't like that word fun very much right now. But it's true, man. Fun, folly, failure. Them words do not fall too far from one another. Folly, fun, failure, frustration, fraternizing. I'm telling you, these words, they go together, man. I'm just trying to get to a point where I'm starting to incorporate better words into my life, man. Focus, faith, friends, family. Those are good F's. Some of them other F's, But I think it really does come down to that. As much as I'm sound like I'm rambling right now, it's not a mindless ramble. It's about changing your talent, your dialect toward yourself, your words that you use in your own head. Can't, cannot, will not, shall not, incapable, impossible, inoperable, in whatever, all them ends, man. No, none of those words need to be used anymore. With possible, probably, working on it, in the process of, incremental increase. You know what I mean? We're trying to get words in our lives that build. We're trying to have thoughts in our heads that provide peace. You know what I mean? Regardless of what the reality is. If I'm in pain, agony, pain. Or get me through this, God. Get me through this, God. I'm strong enough, God. We can do this, God. Everything, God. Everything positive. Everything. Is everybody around me cool? How am I being more? How can I be the example that I can be strong enough so that somebody else can be? One of the greatest things I see, now I've seen it enough times in my life to be impressed by it every time, but it's people who are in hospital beds or circumstances where they're really messed up. And the first thing they're thinking about is how everybody else is doing. Is everybody else cool? Is everybody who is feeling for me? And how can I make them be at ease with how I'm feeling? I always thought that was something to aspire to want, to feel inside. To be that kind of strong, that's what I want to be. It's to the point where even if I'm in my moment, I'm still cognizant of the fact that I can hold some type of control over at least how I'm letting others feel about me. At least I can hold some type of power over the fact that even though I'm in pain, I can still be a solution to the room. Like that, you take back your power when you think like that. But if you in agony, if you practice the spirit of agony all the way up into that moment where you in the hospital bed, you can't be no good to nobody else. You ain't good to you. None of that. I mean, it's not necessarily a perfect science. Don't get it twisted. But if your mind is right leading up to certain situations, it's going to be inside your head. You feel me? It's not about what's going on around you. It's not about anything other than that voice that you're talking with. It's the one you control inside. So it's like, it's exactly that. You know what I mean? It's exactly that. And when you're facing with different anxieties, or you're faced with your demons that's telling you to exit the earth, you're faced with the demons telling you that what you think is the worst of things is something you can handle. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna do my little 100 years. They give me 100 years, I can sit in a cell. Like that type of stuff where you don't surmise the tortures well enough. Yeah, you need a God to help you see your ignorance, your stupidity, and your folly, your foolishness, your failure, your lack of focus. You need something to govern your mind. You know what I mean? You need that positive energy in your head to be a guiding light, so to speak, to help you away from those torturous moments where your mind will be telling you negative stuff on top of what you're feeling, which ain't gonna be all that great if that's the circumstance. Last thing you need to be telling yourself is you're a failure, everybody hates you, you suck, it's time to die. All them different words that you're gonna be sitting in that bed thinking, and what's that gonna do for your daughter? What's that gonna do for your mama sitting to the left of you and to the right of you? See what I'm saying? You can be no solution to them, and you didn't know you could start being a solution to them before you even got in that bed by starting to pray certain prayers today before you even find yourself in a circumstance that lands you in that bed. Hell, maybe you find yourself in a position where God don't even put you in that bed because you start getting that relationship with God. You don't ever find yourself in the hospital in the first place. These are the type of things I think are possible. And we don't know if they're possible, or we don't know if they're not possible, because we're not taught to try to do these things with the intent of seeing certain things happen. It's like, and that's another thing. It's a real messed up conundrum where they tell you in religion that, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but it's like you're not supposed to necessarily benefit from it. You could pray for certain things, but if you benefit from it, it's like you're taking back something you're not supposed to. I know certain religions do that. It's like, you pray, but if you pray for yourself, it's not right. I've even said certain things like that. I don't feel like praying for myself gets to get me as far as praying for others, but there's a conundrum in that that'll keep you from wanting to go toward God at all. You got to fight against those little things that are in place. Those little evil conundrums that'll make your faith not manifest just simply because they're in place to keep you from having faith in the first place. And the devil nestles himself everywhere, right there in the space where you would wonder about faith. There he is telling you, nah, go the other way. That's always what it is in every facet of evil. It's always something to tell you that something that matters doesn't. And you got to either believe it or not. But that's what I'm telling you, man. You just got to go toward that thing, because exactly what I've been telling you, because it will help you up into those moments where you need to be strong, up into those moments where you'll need your faith. You'll have it. You'll be at that top of that mountain, and you will think about the things that matter to you instead of thinking about wanting to quit whatever it is, wanting to be weak or adhere to whatever failure, whatever. None of that. None of that needs to be in your head or manifest from within your voice you are telling yourself. That's what I've learned. They don't have to be there. As somebody who said a lot of negative words to himself a lot of the time over the years, I'm telling you, once I started talking to God more and more, he started making that voice less and less of an asshole. I kid you not. And I say that freely, man, because it's the truth. It's the exact truth. That voice became kinder to me once I started becoming kinder to him. Take that for whatever it's worth. Now let's see how long this takes to upload. It's probably going to be a long time. But to be honest with you, I don't care. I just wanted to get it out. I'm glad it came to mind. As far as T-Mobile and all that, man, you know, I mean, this is what they're trying to suppress. More or less, that's the evil that's trying to suppress this 45 minutes from ever happening. They wanted me to stay on the phone for another 30 minutes, talk to him about whatever. Just to further waste my time, for them to continue to kick the can down the road to get me to pay into something that is supposed to be not even legal. You know what I'm saying? God had greater plans. My name is BDF 44. I thank you all for watching.